Hello guys, today I am going to be going over histograms. Like I told you in the last video, histograms are another graph that we use in statistics to display data. The thing that histograms look most similar to are bar graphs, so you're going to see a lot of similarities between a histogram and a bar graph, but there are differences. So histograms are used when we have a lot of data points that are very different. When we talked about dot plots yesterday, I kind of went over the fact that you want to use dot plots when a lot of the numbers are going to be the same or close together. Histograms are not like that. Histograms are really helpful if you have a lot of very, very, very different data points. So the example that I used in our meeting last week was, let's say we're counting celebrities' followers on Instagram or something like that. Some celebrities might have 500,000 followers. Some celebrities might have 50 million followers. Those are very, very, very different answers. And 50 and 51 million, 50 million and 51 million are different, right? So they would technically put a different dot on a dot plot, but do you really want to put that many dots on a dot plot? No, right? Because very few celebrities are going to have the exact same amount of followers. So you would have to put on a ton of different dots, and it would basically all be very spaced out. And there would probably only be about one dot in each column. So when you have data that's very, very spaced out, you're going to use a histogram instead. So what a histogram is, it's, again, looks very similar to a bar chart, but over here, it's the frequency. The frequency essentially means how many answers, about how many people answered that question that way, or how many answers fall into a certain category. The other thing about histograms is that the answers are grouped into categories. So instead of saying here's a dash for 50 million, here's a dash for 51 million, etc., it's here's a section for 50 to 100 million, or for 50 to 100, or from 10 to 20. So basically all of the answers that are really similar to each other get grouped together. So it makes it a lot easier when you have, again, very different data points, or a lot of very different answers. The example that I'm going to go over today is age. I think that would be the easiest example to start with in terms of histograms, because it's something that it's fairly simple to interpret. Okay, so I'm going to go over basic ages here. Let's say that I surveyed a group of 10 people and I asked how old they were, okay? And we're going to have some people that answered from 0 to 9, some people answered from 10 to 19, some people answered 20 to 29, 30 to 39, 40 to 49, 50 to 59, 60 to 69, and since I'm running out of space, not because I don't love my 70 pluses, I'm just going to say 70 plus. That's really hard to read over there. Okay, so how this would work, you're going to see a group, or you're going to see a bunch of data. So let's just make up ages here. I'm 26, most of my kids are 11 or 12, let's say 50, let's say 47, let's say 56, 24, 37, 42, 81, 70, 48, 64, 68. Okay. I just made up those numbers. I have no idea where those came from, okay? But as you can see, there's a lot of different ages here. I don't think I could have on accident, but I don't think anybody's age repeats. So if I were to make a dot plot of this data, that would be a pain, right? Because my smallest answer is 11. My biggest answer is 81. Do I want to make 70 dashes, or technically 81 dashes, and then fill them in with dots? Probably not. So in that situation, a histogram makes more sense because I can group people by their ages. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to count. How many people did I include between the ages of 0 and 9? And I'm going to go through none. That was not on purpose. So this one, I love how I said that I was going to survey 10 people, and somehow this is how many answers I got. I don't know how many answers that is. So the frequency over here would be how many people fall into that category. 6, 9, 10. Okay, so no people are between 0 and 9, so nothing is going to happen in that column. It's going to stay where it is. How many people are between 10 and 19? Let's see. 1, 2, Okay, 2. So this column would go up to 2. How many people are between 20 and 29? Let's see. 1, 2. Oh, okay, again, 2. Wow, I didn't really space this out very well, did I? How many people are between 30 and 39? Let's see. 1. So that would be a 1. How many people are between 40 to 49? 1, 2, 3. So this one would go up to 3. Oh, that looks closer to 4. Let's see. How many people are between 50 to 59? 1, 2. How many people are between 60 to 69? 1, 2. And how many people are 70 plus? Again, 2. So as you can see, this is going to be a little bit easier to group things in terms of, I don't want to say easier, I want to say faster. Because if I were to make a dot plot, again, that would be a bunch of different dashes. That would be a really long number line for not all that many dots. Does that make sense? Because they're so spaced out, because not a lot of people are repeating, a histogram in that situation would make more sense. I'm going to go with that followers example that I already gave to show you guys another way that this can be used. Okay, so I created a histogram with frequency on the left-hand side, so 1 through 7, and I created columns, essentially, of numbers of followers, okay? So I just looked up a bunch of random celebrities on Instagram and found out how many followers they had and wrote them down here, and now I am going to group them. Okay, I would not want, again, to make a dot plot of this because I really don't want to make millions and millions of dashes because that's how spread out my data is. So when my data is this spread out, it makes more sense to, like, graph it in a histogram instead. So my first column is 0 to 50 million followers, okay? So I'm going to go through and see how many of these celebrities have between 0 to 50 million followers. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the celebrities that I looked up on Instagram had 0 to 50 million. So this column would go up to 5 and would go over. All right, now my next column is 51 to 100 million. So I'm going to find out which one of these celebrities has between 51 to 100. Let's see, 1, 2. All right, so this column is only 2. My columns aren't that even. They should be more even than this. It was just hard to write this. So this one is only going to go up to 2. It's not even at all. I'm sorry. Okay, the next one is 101 to 150. So 1, 2. Again, only 2. And my next column is 151 million to 200 million followers. And that is 3 people. Let's see. So this next column would go up to 3 and over. So you can kind of understand what I'm saying here in terms of each group has its own column. This basically means how many people fall into this group. Okay, so the other part of our objective that I totally forgot to read, I'm sorry, is how to interpret histograms. So I just showed you guys how to create histograms, but how to interpret histograms. So I created my own histogram. Again, it's a little wonky. I'm sorry. I apologize. It's the best I could do. And so I'm going to ask you a series of questions. I want you to pause them, try and come up with your answer, and then I will give you the correct answer, and I will explain to you why that answer is correct. Okay? So I created a histogram for asking a certain amount of people, how many times a month do you eat fast food? I completely made up these answers, but I would expect that if I asked this question, my histogram would probably look a little bit something like very similar to this. I would expect most people to be on the far left side, so like fewer times, and I would expect there to be a lot fewer people answering like every single day. If you're one of those people that answers every day, do you? Okay, this is just for the sake of this graph. All right, so how many people ate fast food between 5 to 9 times per month? Pause that and think about that. How many people ate it between 5 to 9 times per month? Your answer should have been 5 people. Because if I go up and I see where does this bar end, essentially, it ends at the 5. That means 5 people are in that column. Okay, let me ask you a different question. How many people ate fast food between 15 to 19 times a month? Your answer should have been 1. If I'm looking at this column right here, this, if I match it up, it only goes over to 1. So that means only 1 person answered that they eat fast food for between 15 to 19 times per month. What about between 0 and 4 times per month? That is my highest answer. That is 7. That means that 7 people answered that they eat fast food 0 to 4 times per month. All right, what about between 20 to 24 times per month? That one, again, is 1. 25 plus, so over 25 or over times per month is 2. If I'm reaching that over, that matches to my 2. And my last column is 10 to 14 times per month, which is 4. 4 people answered that they eat fast food between 10 to 14 times per month. Okay, I want to show you another example that I just made up to show you that the frequency is not always like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like I showed you in the previous examples. If we have a larger data sample, or so a larger population that we're sampling, obviously we're not going to go by ones in the frequency column. So sometimes you're going to go by tens, maybe twos, maybe hundreds, maybe thousands, maybe millions. Maybe millions. It depends on how many people you're asking or how many answers that you're getting. So in this problem, I said that I asked an entire neighborhood how tall in feet is the tallest tree in your yard. So if I'm asking an entire neighborhood, in my example, it's going to be a heck of a lot more than just like 9 people. So I went all the way up to 60 people. That doesn't mean that I'm only surveying 60 people. It means that my tallest column in this example had less than 60. So you'll see throughout about how many people were in the neighborhood. But I just want to show you that this frequency column is not always going to count by ones. Sometimes it's going to count by tens, 20s, hundreds, thousands, millions. You get it. That depends on how many people answered the questions or how many answers that you received. Okay, so my first column is between 0 to 9 feet. So that means that I asked people, how tall is the tallest tree in your yard? And how many people answered between 0 to 9 feet? So in order to do this, it's the same way that I did the last problem. I'm just looking, where does this column or where does this bar stop, right? 10. That means that 10 people answered that the tallest tree in their yard was between 0 and 9 feet. That might be because they have no trees in their yard, right? Because then the answer would be 0, or that the tallest tree in their yard was 9, or 8, or 7, or 6, or 5, anywhere in between there. Now, let's say how many people answered between 30 to 39 feet. That means the tallest tree in their yard they measured was between 30 and 39 feet. So I'd look at this column and I'd go up and see where it hits. So this one is not exactly on a frequency line. So if I'm going over, that's about halfway in between 20 and 30. What number is halfway between 20 and 30? 25, right? So this column is going to be about 25 people answered that. It might have been 26, it might have been 24, it might not be exact, but about 25 people answered. I'm going to write that actually. About 25 people answered that their tree was between 30 to 39 feet. Okay, pause this. I want you to find it. How many people answered that their tallest tree was between 40 to 49 feet? That looks a little janky. It's this column right here. You'd go up and see where this hits the top, and then you go over. This one's somewhere between 50 and 60. I'm going to just say even 55 people. So this one's 55. I don't really need to shade them in. I'm just showing you that I've already done this one. What about 50 plus feet? That means that they had a tree that was over 50 feet tall in their yard. Or 50 feet exactly. That is right in between 0 and 10. Now, what number is halfway between 0 and 10? That would be 5. So this column is going to be about 5. Again, I'm estimating here. It could be 4, it could be 6, it could be somewhere around there. I don't have exact boxes to measure. Honestly, that probably looks closer to 4. I'm just saying 5 for the sake of this example. We have 2 more columns to look at. This column between 10 to 19 feet is almost even exactly on 30. This column is right in between 40 and 50, so I'm going to assume 45. Now, did I survey exactly 60 people? No, I surveyed 10 people plus 30 people plus 45 plus 25 plus 55 plus 5. So in order to find out exactly how many people I surveyed, all I would have to do is find out how many people are in each column. So I can do that by saying 10 plus 30 is 40, plus 45 is 85, 90, 110, I would combine those to like 170 people. That would mean that I asked about 170 people their answers. That is why I'm skipping by tens. I'm counting by tens. It doesn't make sense if I have 170 answers to count by ones. Like, that's going to be a really, really tall graph. But it also doesn't make sense to count by, say, hundreds, because I'm only going up to 170 at the max. That would mean every single person answered the exact same way. The highest I would go 170. Still doesn't make sense to count by hundreds. So in this example, it really made the most sense to count by tens for me. Again, you can count by different values. You can skip count by different things depending on how many people are in the data set or how many answers are in the, I guess the best way to say this would be how many values or how many numbers are in the data set. Okay, so this was a very quick lesson on histograms. I went over a lot of this in our meetings, so if you're not coming to our meetings, you should be every day from 1 to 2 on Schoology. But of course, if you're watching this video, you have absolutely any questions, comments, concerns, anything, there's something you want me to go over, there's something that you really need extra help on, feel free to reach out to me at any time. As always, I hope you guys are staying safe. I feel like there's something else I wanted to say. If there is, I'll just include it in the description box. But I hope you guys are staying safe. I will see you soon. Bye.